Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Inside Value with me, Siam Dingi. It's wonderful and fantastic to have you back here again. In today's episode, we'll be getting into the first of the four sectors of the value mapping framework, the value proposition sector. The value proposition sector is not only the first sector in the framework, but it's also the first of the two sectors that fall into internal value mapping half of the framework. I've gone ahead and added an image of the framework to this episode's show notes, so go ahead and give it a look to see what I'm talking about. Within the value proposition sector, you examine the strength and the applicability of your value proposition and the value opportunities that arise from it. In value innovation, this sector is pretty crucial, and we'll be going over why exactly the value proposition is so important, both for your business and nonprofit organization specifically, and within value innovation as a whole, and delving into the type of thinking you should be holding when mapping value opportunities that are connected to your value proposition. Firstly, what even is the value proposition? If we circle back to our definition of value, value means providing your offering to your client or stakeholder in a way that is meaningful to them, which is to say, that meets their value needs. The value proposition then is the statement that you give to them to express the value that you can offer your client or your stakeholder. This may make you think of an elevator pitch, but in actuality, the value proposition is included within an effective elevator pitch. Important to note that the value proposition is not equivalent to the unique selling point or the USP. The USP describes the product or service itself and why the offering itself is a great buy. Value is a quality of your USP combined with the meaningful way or ways in which you provide that offering and meet their value needs, which could include any additional benefits that are incurred by engaging your offering specifically. These benefits could be anything: additional products or services, connections gained via engaging your offering, a reduction of admin, the ease of use, etc. The key is that they have to be meaningful to your target client. And in my experience, the strongest, most compelling value propositions prioritize that quality very highly. Already the importance of the value proposition reveals itself, right? It's a way of communicating to your client or your target audience that, hey, not only do we have what you want, but we can give it to you in a way that you need, which of course drives them to engage with you, be it buying or donating or volunteering. But that's not the only way that the value proposition shines and works. In fact, it can become a very powerful operational tool to have at your disposal. And this is how. What often happens in enterprises is that they will create powerful or wonderful value propositions as a strategy exercise and then promptly set it aside, really only pulling it out when it's pitch time or pitch o'clock, as I often say. But there is a way to use it in your day-to-day work. Because your value proposition is a statement of what should be given to your client or your stakeholders, you can actually use your value proposition as an internal checking mechanism to ensure that the internal activities that you're undertaking in your business or nonprofit are actually delivering the value that you're promising in every part of your operations. So, for example, your car part manufacturing business's value proposition is on time, on scope, no flaws. But you discover that your finance team struggles to deliver invoices timeously to the correct person because your invoicing software is way outdated. You see how that might undermine the value that you've promised and the value proposition as a whole. So your finance director goes shopping for a new invoicing software and can actually tell the people that he's shopping around for that, listen, I'm looking for an invoicing software that delivers on time, on scope, no flaws. It makes his job way easier, doesn't it? He simply rejects anything that doesn't meet the value proposition. The takeaway here is that if a particular activity doesn't end up making it easier to deliver the value that you've promised or deliver it more powerfully, you now know that it is time to rework that particular activity or remove it completely. In fact, you can scale that all the way up by using your value proposition to set the tone of everything that you do in your enterprise. since your value proposition is the reason that your enterprise exists in the first place. And what I mean by this is designing your processes and activities to be value-driven from the very outset. You begin to ask yourself questions like, if we design this process in this specific way, how does this impact our ability to deliver value? If there's negative impacts, you rework. If there's positive impacts, we amplify. Now, how is the value proposition important to value innovation and value creation specifically? As I'd highlighted in previous episodes, the value proposition is used as the lens through which an enterprise's internal infrastructure and external environment is examined for value creation opportunities. A good way to make sense of this in your mind is to see that within value or innovation, the consistent question that is asked is, given that our value proposition is XYZ, what is available in our internal and external environment that we can use, leverage, or eliminate to deliver our value or improve the delivery of that value? Another way to look at the same question is to see it as, given that our value proposition is XYZ, what are the value creation or delivery implications of this opportunity that we've just spotted? I've had clients who, when I've explained this to them, had an aha moment that was like, oh, so this is like a brainstorming technique. And I say, yeah, but also not quite. So you know that part of strategy development where everybody's brainstorming, throwing around ideas, and somebody says, there's an opportunity that we have here. And somebody else pipes up and says, well, what are the barriers to entry? What are the economic factors connected to that opportunity? Like with Pastel, right? Likewise, in value innovation, someone can say, hey, there's an opportunity that we spotted here. And someone else says, what are the value creation implications of that opportunity? How does this opportunity interplay with our value proposition? That is, how does it impact the value that we want to deliver? Now, we've discussed the value proposition as a concept and how to apply it within operations. But how exactly does it work within the value mapping framework? How do we use it when we're doing value mapping, which, remember, is the act of uncovering value opportunities where they lie in your internal and external environment? Within the value proposition sector of the framework, what you're doing is examining the value proposition itself to see if there's any leverageable value inherent to it. There's a whole lot of questions in a large variety that you can and should ask yourself to uncover that value. Some of those questions may be, is our current value proposition clear? Does it fully and clearly represent our enterprise's objectives? Does it make sense? Is it unique? And I really want to emphasize the unique point. In a world where, firstly, so many people are having incredible ideas, and some are iterating and improving on existing good ideas and making them great. And secondly, where consumers and donors are hungry for new, exciting offerings that get them excited to buy or engage, that really make them feel something. Delivering a unique value, and by extension, having a unique value proposition, is an absolute goldmine. Another very good question that you can ask within this sector is, does the value proposition truly communicate the value we want to the audience that we want? I've had an instance where a previous client that we worked with had said that their value proposition was so clear, but they kept getting engagement and requests from people that they didn't really want to sell to or that they couldn't sell to, more than they would get from their preferred client base. Now, when they said that, to me, that pointed to two places within their internal operations. Firstly, what was their marketing saying? And secondly, what was their value proposition saying? And this was because ideally, your marketing is informed by your value proposition, because marketing tells, it communicates, it shares what's already there. But in engaging with this particular client, when we looked at their marketing, it became apparent that everything was really consistent. There was no muffled or confused messaging. So the next place that I had to look was the value proposition. And at that point, we saw that there was an opportunity to really refine what was being communicated in the value proposition itself. Another really excellent question to ask when you're mapping within this sector is, Does this value proposition make sense given the value that we say or that we think we want to create? Finally, there's one very important question within this sector, and that is our value proposition clear enough for our employees, our stakeholders to understand and contribute towards? This one is vitally important because ultimately your employees do the day-to-day work that actually delivers the value that you're promising. What often happens in enterprises is that the vision and the mission will be very lofty and super aspirational. Meanwhile, the employees just want to know what their job description is, what they have to do on a day-to-day, and then go home. A clear understanding of your value proposition helps your employees contextualize what your enterprise actually does in the enterprise environment. And then it builds that connection between their day-to-day work and the value proposition, and subsequently your vision and mission, because the value proposition is inspired in part by the vision and the mission of your enterprise. So making sure that your employees particularly understand and really connect with the value proposition brings the vision and the mission right into their day-to-day, instead of way over there on a document or on a poster someplace. That summarizes what you need to know about the value proposition sector in the value mapping framework that we use in Value Innovation. We've covered what the value proposition is, why it is important, and how it factors in and works within the framework. In the next episode, we'll be getting into the next sector of the framework, business strategy. We'll walk through how your business or nonprofit organization's business strategy interacts with and impacts your value creation strategy, and how we can discover value opportunities inherent to your current business strategy using the value mapping framework. And that does it for this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Inside Value on your preferred podcasting platform. Be sure to follow Vive Consulting on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube, and visit our website on vive.co.za, that is vivre.co.za, for more insights on value creation, value innovation, and value strategy. This has been Inside Value with me, Siam Dingi. See you in the next one.